Last-ditch talks to rescue the construction company behind the high-speed rail link. Donald Trump under increasing pressure over his challenge to Iran and his message to Africa. The images that prove that Syrian war is far from over despite Russian claims to the contrary. Chemists across the UK ran out of the flu jab amid fears of a national epidemic. The 4 amateur oarsmen who smashed the world record for crossing the Atlantic. And in sport, Chelsea missed a chance to move second in the Premier League after drawing 0-0 with Leicester. A very good evening. We start tonight with the last-ditch attempts to save Britain's second largest construction group. Sky News has learnt that talks are due to take place tomorrow between CARILLION bosses and government officials to try and secure a deal to prevent the company from going into administration. Well, CARILLION employs nearly 20,000 people across the UK alone and is responsible for building the HS2 high-speed rail link. Caterina Vittozzi has this report.
For a company that makes, this could be the moment it breaks. And this building titan from total collapse. Caterina Vittozzi, Sky News.
And coming up later on in the programme, we'll be speaking to the Liberal Democrat leader and former Business Secretary Sir Vince Cable, who's cautioning against a bailout. And of course, that story is likely to feature prominently in tomorrow's papers. We'll be taking a first look at those at 10:30 tonight with the journalist and author Rachel Sharby and the Daily Telegraph writer Tim Stanley. Iran has threatened to retaliate against new sanctions imposed by the US after Donald Trump set an ultimatum to fix disastrous flaws in a deal curbing Tehran's nuclear program. Well, the US president's currently fighting battles on a number of fronts after the UN and African Union leaders condemned an abusive outburst about immigration. Our US correspondent Mark Austin has this report.
For America's Haitian community, the timing of Donald Trump's comments about their country was particularly hurtful. America and Iran remain on a dangerous collision course. Mark Austin, Sky News, in Washington.
Protesters waving an American flag have heckled the London mayor at the Fabian Society conference in central London, where Mr Khan tweeted on Friday that the US president had got the message that he was not welcome in London after he cancelled a planned visit to open the new US embassy. The demonstrators called for a citizen's arrest of Sadiq Khan, who was giving the keynote speech at the political think tank event.
As the
Ladies and gentlemen, we are here today to make peaceful, non-violent citizens arrest of the Vietnamese. We have Sadiq Khan, Keir Starmer, Kate Green MP, Andrew Hallam.
It is a pleasure to be here, even though we were distracted by the actions of what some would call very stable geniuses. From Donald Trump to Toby Young, from Boris Johnson to Nigel Farage, some of the sentiments that we've heard this week could easily be laughed off, but for the fact they were all made by men in positions of power. And that leads me on to what I want to speak about this morning.
Health officials have insisted that there are enough flu vaccines to get through the winter months as people rush to protect themselves against an epidemic believed to be headed there from Australia. Sky News has been contacting pharmacies across the UK and finding that many of them haven't been able to offer a flu jab this weekend. Sky's Mike McCarthy reports now from York.
Britain is suffering one of its worst flu seasons in recent years, and York is currently top of the league for infections pressure. Mike McCarthy, Sky News.
The leader of the Democratic Unionist Party has launched a charm offensive as she tries to ease Brexit tensions with the Irish government. Well, Arlene Foster insisted that she wouldn't pull up the drawbridge between North and South after the UK leaves the European Union. She also called for closer cooperation between the UK and Ireland during the negotiations. Here's our political correspondent, Tom Rayner.
It's nice to meet you. Thank you very much for coming today.
In November, she accused the Irish government of recklessness during the Brexit negotiations.
New footage has emerged of the aftermath of Syrian government airstrikes on the country's last remaining rebel stronghold. At least 9 people were killed and 10 injured in the latest round of strikes last night. The United Nations claims around 100,000 civilians have been displaced by the government offensive. Since the start of November, fighting and airstrikes have intensified in Idlib and neighbouring parts of Hama and Aleppo. A 25-year-old British model has been stabbed and killed in West London. Police say Harrier Zoka was attacked outside a block of flats in Shepherd's Bush before staggering into a nearby street on Thursday evening. 2 men, aged 27 and 28, have been arrested on suspicion of murder. Officials in Hawaii say a text message to residents warning of an impending missile strike was sent by mistake. The emergency alert, all in capital letters, said ballistic missile threat inbound to Hawaii, seek immediate shelter. This is not a drill. It was declared a false alarm shortly afterwards, but not before panic started to spread, and it's not yet known exactly how it happened. People angered by an advert for H&M have ransacked some of the clothing chain stores in South Africa. They were protesting over an image of a black child modelling a sweatshirt with the slogan "Coolest monkey in the jungle," and the Swedish retailer has removed the picture from all of its marketing and issued an apology. Now, 4 amateur rowers have set a new world record for the fastest crossing of the Atlantic Ocean and raised £250,000 for charity in the process. After battling seasickness, hallucinations and 40-foot waves, the men crossed the finish line on the island of Antigua in the Caribbean.
And here they go!
Blistered, sunburned and exhausted, but still more than able to celebrate their incredible achievement. They've raised £250,000 to share between the charities. Fraser Maud, Sky News.
You're watching Sky News. Coming up, Britain's oral health epidemic, where 170 children have teeth removed in hospital every single day. Welcome back. Now, 170 children and teenagers are having their teeth removed in UK hospitals every single year. And that's because of the decay is so severe that the extraction had to be carried out under general anaesthetic. Well, now local authorities are warning of an oral health crisis and are demanding new measures to reduce the sugar content in soft drinks. Phil Edwards has the details.
That's it. Let's have a little look.
It's a steadily worsening medical problem that causes misery for thousands of children and costs the NHS millions of pounds, who also fail to care for their teeth. Phil Edwards, Sky News.
Time now to take a look at the weather.
From warm, flowing island winds to an enchanting desert breeze.
Wet and windy weather will move in from the northwest on Sunday, with colder, more showery conditions next week. Before then, patchy rain and strong winds will extend from Scotland and Northern Ireland to southwest England this evening. Most other places will be dry and cloudy. The rain in the west will largely fade away overnight, but central and southern Scotland will have further outbreaks. The wind will ease and any cold breaks will bring patches of frost and fog, with Ireland most at risk. Sunday morning then will be fairly overcast, but England, Wales and Ireland can expect some brightness over them recently once any fog hill clears. Most places will be dry, but parts of Scotland will be damp, with heavy rain and gales reaching the Western Isles by lunchtime. Much of Scotland, Ireland and Northern Ireland will turn wet and windy throughout the afternoon, with snow on the Highlands, and Monday looks colder and windier, with early rain clearing to sunshine.
The weather, sponsored by Qatar Airways.
Now we've got Sportsline in a moment. Let's get more on what's coming up.
Yeah, another busy Saturday in sport.